Here with Sierra Campbell, the head women's golf coach at University of North Georgia. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Um, so yeah, you're the head women's golf coach at University of North Georgia. So can you tell me a little bit about the University of North Georgia?
Yes. We are in Dahlonega, Georgia, which is about an hour and 15 minutes north of Atlanta. A lot of people don't know the town, but it's great. It's actually a little Hallmark town. So we take Christmas very seriously. It's probably my main thing I always talk about Dahlonega. But it's just beautiful here. Foot of the mountains and awesome people. The university is everything you could ever dream of it being. Um, and it's just feels like home for me. So I'm very fortunate to be here.
Nice. Yeah, I know that the University of North Georgia is a military college. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And for you, what is it like to coach at a military college?
Yes, absolutely. So I actually didn't even know that it was the military college when I decided to come take an interview here. When I pulled into campus and saw military college in Georgia on the sign, I was only hesitant because I have no experience in the military or family. So I was like, man, I could be not at all what they're looking for. But sometimes you actually forget we're military college in a way, in a great way. Very safe. But you remember it very quickly when 3 Black Hawk helicopters come land on drill field. And it is just like the coolest thing in town. But we have a lot of traditions at North Georgia. We have fallen soldiers who we honor throughout any sporting event, really. But every team does a different tribute to a fallen soldier each year. For us, we carry a camo bag. A lot of schools you'll see at this level in college, a lot of teams have camo bags to have camo bags.
Yeah.
We have one that we rotate, try to rotate at every event, depending on how much time we have in between. But we'll have the girls compete in some kind of way. We're using it that week on a Friday before we go. I'll pull out some random competition, whether it's a close to the pin from the bunker or who can make the most putts in a row, who can do a pressure drill. And that person will carry the camo bag in honor of the soldier for that year. So something really cool. We have a lot of gratitude and love for the military and our servicemen. So servicewomen as well. So it's really, really neat to be a part of something that special for sure.
Nice. Yeah, that does sound like a cool tradition. So can you tell me
Yes.
about your journey? So how did you end up as at University of North Georgia as the head women's golf coach?
Yes, absolutely. So I am from originally Virginia, moved to New Mexico when I was 9.
Yep.
My parents are still there. Got into playing golf in a state that is very how do I want to say it? It's just not abundant with a lot of female young golfers. So I was very fortunate back then. The first tee program was a big thing in Albuquerque or in Bernalillo, and that's how I started. They actually came to my elementary school when I was a 5th grader as one of the PE classes. Rob Lowry, who still to this day I'm close with and was a swing coach of mine throughout high school, but got into playing golf also at the time. Uh, Went on, my dad asked, he said, it's time to pick a sport, kiddo, because they're both the same spring season. I'm really hoping that you choose the one that has money. He thought that golf had a lot more money than softball. Little did he know I would be a coach. So I would argue, I don't think there's a ton of money in it, but in a great way. I love my career. And so went on to play in Texas in Wichita Falls, Texas at Midwestern State University, a Division II program there. Absolutely loved my time there, loved the people that I met. And I was asked when I was a sophomore over the summer between my sophomore and junior year to coach the Junior America's Cup, which is a West Coast kind of a tour that goes around through each state. I was asked if I would take the Team New Mexico to Wyoming for the summer, a week in the summer, and play. It's like, yeah, sure,
Yep.
I know enough. And I love being able to coach. I love being able to help answer questions and talk to those girls about my journey as a college player. And kind of just fell in love with it that week, actually. So decided that's what I was going to do. I had changed my degree once already. I originally went to school to practice pre-law. Realized early on my freshman year that was not what was best for me. Changed to a marketing degree and with that, but decided I was going to coach after. So finished my 4 years at Midwestern and then went on to Dallas Baptist University as the graduate assistant there in 2017. Got to learn a lot there. They're an absolute powerhouse of a golf program. I was fortunate to be the GA for the women's program and sometimes the men as well. And then 3 months into me being there, our assistant coach, Sydney Williams, left and had the opportunity to go be the head coach and start her own program at East Texas Baptist. So a few weeks later, I was thankfully asked to see if I wanted to be the assistant for both programs and transitioned from GA to assistant. I was there in that role for 1.5 years. And in 2019, had been very fortunate to have Kim Evans, who used to be at Auburn University, among some other people I've learned, put my name in the hat with some people they knew here at North Georgia. Just asked for an interview. I had zero intention of really taking the job, nothing against North Georgia, but I was 24 at the time. I felt completely unprepared, but was happy to interview, learn a couple things, see how to network. And when I got here, I just fell in love with it. And the rest has been kind of history. I'm in season 5 right now, and it has been the journey of a lifetime.
Yeah, so you just mentioned you're in your 5th season at University of North Georgia, so you've been there for a while.
Yes.
Yeah, in your 5 seasons, what have you enjoyed most about your time at North Georgia?
I always come back to the people. One, the people that I have been able to work with and learn from here, but most importantly, the players that have come through here. They say that coaches teach players things, but I would argue it's the exact opposite. I think that every single one of my players in the last 5 years has taught me more than they could ever imagine about being a leader and communicating and just being good people. I have been very blessed with some of the best players to come through here, and I'm fortunate to say that I have relationships with all of them still. And I think that's the most rewarding thing as a coach you can do, is have people who still talk to you when they're going into their marriages or owning businesses or being moms. And I say that it always comes back to the people for me. I've had some great times here and some great memories, but anytime people ask about what your favorite things at North Georgia, I say the people and those van rides. You talk about 8 hours in the car with those girls, whether it's going to Orlando or we actually just drove to Pennsylvania this fall. You just learn a lot. You get to know them really well, and they're very open. And I think it's a great relationship builder. And that's the biggest thing that we have built our foundation on here in North Georgia, is a culture of love and family and strong relationships.
Yes. Yeah. So reading up on this for my next question. This tournament sounds, really special. So can you tell me about the Leanne Noble Memorial Golf Tournament and what it's like to honor Leanne Noble with this golf tournament?
Absolutely. You've really done your homework. So the Leanne Noble Memorial, when I got here in 2019, was in its 7th year, I believe, or 6th annual, I guess. Leanne Noble actually was not far from my age. She was a player here at North Georgia, and in 2015 passed away due to heart complications from a heart transplant she'd had as a much younger child. She played on the women's golf team and is actually a native of Gainesville, which is about 15 minutes for us, 15 minutes away for us. Leanne has left a legacy here. I obviously was not fortunate enough to be able to meet Leanne. And I wish that I had. All the stories that people share about her during the memorial. She was just the light of every room. She was a nursing major, and somebody who just always wanted to give back. And to have lost her, I know was an awful loss here at North Georgia, but also with her family. So to be able to honor her each year, I do quite a few things, or we try to do quite a few things throughout the year that still honor her legacy. But hosting that tournament and being able to bring teams from across the country and learn about her story and who she is probably one of the best impacts I've ever been able to be a part of here at North Georgia. Her family comes every year. They present the trophies, and it's very humbling. It's bigger than you, and I think that's really important. players and players across the country learn.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how it is to, yeah, I worked at, here in Connecticut, they have a, it's called the Ryan Teely Memorial Tournament. So yeah, we also,
Okay.
yeah, we also, honor, just like we also have a memorial tournament um, for someone
Nice.
else. Yeah. So I know how that is, and how special that is. So yeah,
Absolutely. It's very nice to be able to keep that
yeah,
memory alive and
yeah,
to for her family to understand that it's everything that she ever
yeah,
did and everything that she sacrificed is still worth it and still makes an impact on players who have never been were never blessed to meet her. So
yeah. Yeah, I know those memorial tournaments are more special than, the other tournaments. So
I
yeah,
would agree.
my next question, in 2021, Maddie Nodisane, she was the first woman golfer in your team's program history to qualify for the Division II championship. So in 2021, what did that mean for Maddie to qualify for the Division II championship?
So that Maddie is a three-time All-American for us. And that was her freshman year. And she came in with, I mean, obviously she had great expectations. She was a great junior golfer and just killed it her freshman year, has since as well. But she at the time was playing with Megan Sable, who COVID gave a fifth year senior year to. So Megan was a fifth year senior as Maddie was a freshman. The two of them were just the two, like just two of the funnest people to watch play. They were so competitive. They both made each other better. And what people don't allow them really know about that story, because it's not in the record book, is both Maddie and Megan qualified for the regional championship that 2021 year in early May up in Cleveland, Tennessee at Cleveland Country Club. So they were both individuals. We had two individuals and they of course put them on opposite sides of the golf course. They teed off of one and one teed off of 10. So I went back and forth with both of them all day. We tried to split it up with about 6 holes, 6 holes, 6 holes, just to try to see as much as possible. But a tough last day because you wanted to spend your time with Megan. It was her last career hole finish as a Nighthawk. And then at the same time, you're watching the leaderboard and realizing Maddie's about to qualify. So I was actually fortunate enough to be able, the way the golf course sets up, Megan, we had some weather delays that day, the day before. So we ended up playing 36 the last day. And Megan finished on 10 green, which if you cut through a hazard was where 17 green was, which is where Maddie finished. So I was able to be with Megan for her last collegiate hole, run across the hazard, and get to Maddie where she made par on the last hole to qualify. An awesome experience. Obviously, at the time it was only my second year, so I really hadn't thought much about no one ever making the national championship before for the Nighthawks. And it was just an awesome experience. We went to Detroit that year and played TPC Michigan up there, and great to just to let more people know about the North Georgia game. And obviously, both Maddie and Megan and every player that we've ever had have done that in their careers of really showing everybody what North Georgia is and who they are and where they come from. It was very special for Maddie to make it that first year. And then she went on the next 2 years to qualify as individuals again for the regional championships in 22 and 23. So a great finishing of first year for a great career start to her entire career. So it was very special to be a part of for sure. And we had immense support from our administration. Our athletic director was there, our associate athletic director there, our men's coach was there, her parents were there. It was great. Everybody flew up to Michigan and we had a great time.
Nice. So yeah, you've been the men's and women's golf assistant coach at Dallas Baptist. Can you tell me how was your time at Dallas Baptist and what did you learn being an assistant coach there?
Absolutely. I actually loved being assistant for both men's and women's. Obviously, I'm only the women's coach now at North Georgia, but our men's coach and our programs are very, very close. We do a ton together. So there's a couple times where the boys will ask me if I'll come coach with them, with Coach Worley, and then the vice versa. So the girls will ask Coach Worley to come. So sometimes we try to cross over when we can, when we feel like one person needs the help at a certain golf course or whichever one of us is not have a team travel in that week, if they can take some time off. So I learned a lot from my time coaching both. When I played at Midwestern, our college coach, Jeff Ray, he was the head coach of both men and women. So it's really all I had ever known was one coach that coached both, and you try to do a lot of things together when you could. You tried to practice simultaneously, qualify simultaneously, and just interact a ton together at practice. So going to DBU, Coach Trapp was the head coach of both. And so when I became the assistant, like you said, it was for both. So I actually love my time. Coaching guys is honestly so fun. I wouldn't say I have a favorite either way, but they're very different. People always ask the difference between women and coaching men, but guys, sometimes they just have shots that you're like, I just simply could never physically hit that. But just they give you a lot of different perspective too. And I really loved learning that and being able to take it with me here at North Georgia. But Dallas Baptist is like I said, a powerhouse of a program. So I was very fortunate there to be able, I think we won 26 out of 30 events or 33 events that I was there. And not saying that was to me, it was just a lot of fun. I'm a very competitive person. So being able to be a part of such a winning program is awesome. People staying hungry and being really good and keeping people really competitive. I was very fortunate to learn how to do a lot of things there, how to compete better, how to win, what foundation of a program sets, what works in the future, and, learn a lot about, again, relationship building. I was, like I said, I keep saying the word fortunate, but I am fortunate to learn from Coach Ray at Midwestern about relationship building as we have, and then with as well. So it's something that I knew I wanted to keep moving forward, and I took a lot of the things that I know and love from my time at DBU.
So Coach, I'm interested to know, did you always know that you wanted to be a college coach, or did you never really consider, becoming a college coach?
I never expected to. Like I had said, I originally wanted to get my law degree.
Okay.
I wanted to be a sports agent. Well,
Okay.
a couple things, but my dad told me I would be a terrible defense attorney and a terrible prosecutor, because if I thought that the opposite person did or didn't do it, I would probably tell the other person, like, this guy shouldn't go to jail. He actually didn't do it. Things like that. So he's like, that's not it. So I considered keeping the same track and getting a law degree to then be a sports agent. And thankfully learned early on that I wanted to coach just from that Junior America's Cup. So at the time, I obviously knew nothing about it. When I went to my college coach about it, Coach Ray, you should, try to be a GA first. And, obviously get your master's in whatever you want it to be, see how you feel about dangling your toes in the water of coaching. And it kind of just all played out from there. And quite frankly, there's not another career in the world I would choose. So it's not something I expected, but I have found complete enrichment in it, and I love it.
Nice. Not something you expected, but it's worked out very well.
So far, we'll see. We'll keep them going.
So can you tell me about your start in the game of golf? So how did you get started playing golf, and what are some memories you have of golf, growing up?
Yes. So like I said, the first T program in New Mexico was kind of where I learned. I was playing softball at the time, travel softball. I was a 5th grader. I played softball all the way until I was an 8th grader. The time you had to decide in school what you were going to do, because in New Mexico, both golf and softball were the same season, which is not always the case in Georgia or Florida. They're all kind of different with their seasons, but time to decide, chose golf because I just loved it. And then decided my freshman year that it was something I really wanted to stick to, and I wanted to get a college education, and on the back burner of getting a golf scholarship. So I did a lot of homework and a lot of recruiting and a lot of emails to coaches to try to find somewhere that was the right fit for me. And Wichita Falls was just that. That was 8 hours for me. And I loved every second of my career there. I loved the people that I got to meet, and I had a great time with really just playing with my teammates, and we were a good program. Won conference championship in 2015, which is forever one of my favorite memories of all time, winning with my teammates. But going back to just junior golf, started any about golf, thinking about playing with my dad. My dad is still to this day a big golfer, and he had always asked me to play golf. I was like, Dad, I'm playing softball. I don't know, why would I possibly play that sport? And then when the first tee program came to PE class, I smacked a couple balls around and I said, this actually could be kind of fun, and started playing from there. And I think about my pink Adidas shoes all the time. They're my favorite shoes ever. It's kind of why I agreed to, and just played a lot with my dad, and was very, very blessed to have a long time as a junior golfer, learning from him, playing with him on the weekends. And still to this day, when I get to go home, I get to play with him. So he's the biggest reason I played the game, and I attribute all of my success to him teaching me about it and teaching me how to love it. So
Nice. So you grew up in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, which is just by Albuquerque. So two things. When people ask you where you're from, do you say Rio Rancho, or do you just say you're basically from Albuquerque? And then can you just tell me, growing up in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, how was that for you?
I usually say Rio Rancho, New Mexico,
Okay.
which is a suburb outside of Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Rio Rancho is north. It's a
Hmm.
little, I'm not sitting here and saying Albuquerque is not a safer place. It's just Rio Rancho is the best place for when my family was moving. That's where we ended up.
Okay.
Um, and we're probably 20 minutes from Albuquerque. So you get there in time, 25 from downtown, I guess. And Albuquerque's obviously the closest big city, but I originally was from Virginia. So born and raised until I was 9. My sister was 1. We moved from Virginia to New Mexico. Now that was complete culture shock. Coming from everything was grass and trees to complete desert. And that took some time to adjust to, which is probably why I ended up playing golf, because I needed some grass. But coming back here to Georgia gives me that fix back of the mountains, the trees. But my time in Mexico was great. Like I had said, the golf community there for young females was not huge. It still to this day is not one of the most prosperous women's golf states for recruiting or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I wish that was different, but I was fortunate to be able to still be recruited out of there. And like I said, my parents still live there. My sister and I both went to the same high school. And I actually am going home Monday, which is New Mexico. So I'll get to go see my family and do Thanksgiving with them. So it's a good place that I still get to call home.
Nice. Do you get to go to New Mexico much, or not too often these days?
I've gotten worse. I used to go home Thanksgiving, Christmas, and once in the summer. And now
Hmm.
my parents usually try to come out here in the summers to see Georgia. So I
Okay.
go home Thanksgiving and go home Christmas, if not one more time or so a year, but always Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Nice. Yeah, I'm different from you. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, so one state over from New Mexico, and now I live in Connecticut.
Okay. Do
I
you
went from
go back
so I went
often?
now I've been back in, I don't know, anywhere like maybe 6 years or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Those are two different things. Well,
Yeah, I'm different from you. I went from the desert now to, Connecticut. You have trees,
as if you
cold,
just
snow, things like that.
very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arizona would panic for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah. So getting into your college career, you played collegiately at Midwestern State University. So can you tell me about Midwestern State University?
Yes. Midwestern was a visit I took in college, or I'm sorry, in high school. Coach Ray had called me randomly on a Friday night and was like, look, I don't ever recruit girls that just pop up on videos in my phone, but for some reason you just keep popping up on this NCSA at the time email. I
Okay.
like your golf swing. Is there any chance you'd want to just meet me like in 4 days, really? I was like, okay, sounds good. So we got a flight that night I actually believe it was the next Friday. So it was a week later. Went out there, expected just to, again, I had a couple schools that I thought were probably the last choices for me to make between. And Midwestern was just different. It was a great small town with tremendous people, very caring, a very close team. Coach Ray, all coach both, was very involved in both programs. I knew that he could develop the player that I was, and he had a lot of faith in me right out of the gate. Which I couldn't tell you why or what he saw back then, but I'm very grateful for that time. Grateful for it now that he saw that. Wichita is a medium-sized school, I would say. It's Midwestern is, and kind of the center-ish of Wichita Falls. We were very, very blessed to have Wichita Falls Country Club be our home course, which is a great track that I got to spend 4 years on and loved every second of. And I just met some of my forever friends there that were my teammates, and I wouldn't trade that time for a world for anything. I don't even know how to explain it the best, but a small town with the best people, quite frankly. I go back to people all the time, but I think that really special people always make special places. And I actually was just back there this past week. A player of ours at North Georgia played in the Southwest Airlines showcase at an inaugural event in Dallas. She asked me to come back. So I flew out there and spent Sunday night. I drove up there after her practice round and went to see some of my old Wichita Falls family, which was really nice to get back and see how all the things that have changed. But I absolutely loved my time there. And anytime we get to see Midwestern on the road, and Coach Ray is still there, we actually saw them last fall at DBU's event. And so Coach Trapp paired Coach Ray and I together, and we had a lot of fun. I got to talk to his player about Coach Ray used to be, and like he's still the same. So it's really good. I really loved it there.
Nice. So what drew you to, choosing to attend and play college golf for Midwestern State University?
I would say the way that I felt when I was on my visit, I just felt truly at home. Felt very safe in that small town. The teammates actually, when I met the team, there was 4 seniors at the time. They would play with me. But I was late in the game deciding on a college. I didn't decide until I was a senior, and really right before, not really late. I hate to say that, but I felt like I was late back then. I signed right on signing day, but I decided right before it to go there, and really just all the people, the connections and the relationships there. I was excited to get a really good education there. It's a great school. They were very supportive. Their golf programs were well loved, well funded. I knew that was an important thing to look for as well. And really just believed my gut when I went on that visit. And I was like, I don't think any school in the country beats this one right here, at least with the way I felt. So I committed within, I think, a week. I took one more visit after that, and I was like, no, Wichita Falls is the place for me. So the rest is history.
Yeah, well, trusting your gut seems like it worked out. You were the 2015 Lone Star individual champion. So what did it mean to win this conference championship for you?
That one was a lot of fun. Had no idea I was winning. Back then, you really didn't have a lot of live scoring like you do now. Maybe we had it, but I wasn't looking. Back then, I say back then, it really wasn't that long ago, but it kind of was when you talk about the rules being different. We didn't have our cell phones. Maybe every like a blue moon, you were a part of one that did a live scoring, and somebody in the group had to do it, but I was never the one to do it. So I had no idea that one, that we were winning, and 2, that I was leading. I remember going to coach on we had another weather problem. We had to do a shotgun finish, and on my last hole was a par 3, a long par 3. And I looked at coach and I was like, how are we doing? Because we had never won one at Midwestern. It was the first one in program history as a team. And I was like, I didn't know how do we stand here? And I knew that I had played well, and the girls of our biggest rival that I was playing with were not. So I was like, maybe we have a chance. Not knowing what my teammates were doing or what the other girls were doing. And he was like, oh, we're winning by 10 right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're winning by a landslide right now. It's great. And I was like, oh, that's so great. I love not having pressure on this hole. And he goes, I wouldn't say that because you're leading it. And I was like, oh, well, I probably didn't need to hear that at the time. But no, it actually was great. And I actually bogeyed that hole. Thought I lost against Beatrice, who was in the group behind me, but ended up winning. And it was a special tournament to win for sure, but it was way more special to win the team championship with all of my teammates. To win that first one for Coach Ray was awesome. To really see probably the happiest day I had ever seen him as a coach. It's just super rewarding. And that's when you realize that all the things you've ever done, all the hard work, all the toughness, all the things that coach required, they were always worth it. And there was always a reason And winning that with my teammates was the most special. He took us to Texas Roadhouse that day, which never happened. So that was a really big deal for us.
Yeah,
But I will always, always remember that day as a player.
nice. So you are a graduate assistant coach at Dallas Baptist. So I'm interested to know, what was it like to, be getting your master's degree, balancing both, your master's coursework and your coaching, duties, as, graduate assistant coach at Dallas Baptist. How was that for you?
That was difficult. There were a lot of days where I was like, do I really have to have this degree? But only because the way that we traveled was it difficult.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the way that the degree I was getting, which was a sports management master's, was a lot of our classes were on Monday and Tuesday nights. Now, obviously, being a golf podcast, most people on here know that college golfers travel Saturday or Sunday and play Monday, Tuesday, and get home Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I missed in a full semester, my first semester, I missed all but 2 ethics and law classes of my first part of my degree. And I was like, I'm going to fail this class. And Dr. Tennyson, Jim Tennyson, forever a great, forever my favorites, was very accommodating. He's like, look, it's not going to be easy, but you travel with both men and women and you're going to be on the road all the time. And we were. So fortunate to learn from him and have basically his forgiveness and missing a lot of stuff. So a tough balancing act. And you try to take a lot of online classes when you could, which were not very easy to get into at DBU. They did not offer a lot of online classes for master's coursework, but I learned a lot in being able to travel with both teams, doing my homework on the road. And thankfully college had set me up for that. Obviously traveling for 4 years, doing homework on the road, but your master's was just, I would say it was less work, but it was almost felt like it was more important stuff. So traveling all the time was definitely difficult, but I was surrounded by great professors who all respected and knew the golf teams really well. So that was really nice that we were a great program. So they were like, yeah, we get that you're not going to be here. But I actually did not finish the degree while I was at DBU. I needed, because of being a GA, I could not take a full class load all semesters. That was a rule. You couldn't be a full-time employee and be a full-time student. So I took smaller class loads. So I had to go into the last summer. So I left DBU in June, took the job at North Georgia, end of June, beginning of July. And then I was not going to be able to finish in August and back and walked in December of 2018. So it was difficult finishing the degree while being a new head coach as well. But again, surrounded by great professors who were really, really accommodating and helpful when I needed it.
Nice. Yeah. So my final question is, what do you enjoy most about getting to be the head women's golf coach at University of North Georgia?
Oh man. My favorite thing is, hopefully I do it, but my favorite thing is the opportunity to impact players, impact people. I'm very blessed here at North Georgia with the size of the school that a lot of people know, you kind of know everybody, especially in athletic sense. So I know most athletes of different sports, and I get to be a huge fan of obviously women's golf. I'm their biggest fan. And then the other sports as well, like soccer is going on this week. Basketball is actually tonight. And I'm being able to be at a school where people know you and you know them and you have relationships. And I've just really been fortunate enough and in hopes to impact players of all walks of life, whether they're golfers or they're softball players, whatever that may be. I've very, very blessed to be in a position that hopefully impacts lives of players in positive ways. And quite frankly, I don't know that I would ever consider my success if I didn't do that in a big way. So that's always my prayer, to be able to impact their lives, whether it be on the golf course or in life and where they take it in the future. And I think that I would feel that way anywhere. So at North Georgia is just a special place. So I'm very, very fortunate to be here.